Hello friends and everyone, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. I am Frederick and I'm happy to have you here today. In this video, we are going to implement policy-based authorization with custom requirements in .NET 8 Blazor web application. This implementation can be applied to all the render modes, including WebAssembly, interactive server, and also interactive auto. That's a combination of the server and the WebAssembly. I have already made a video on implementing the basic one, that is a policy-based authorization with quick authentication. And in this video, we are going to authorize it with custom requirement. If I say custom requirement, what do I actually mean? That is a logic that I want to perform. I want to verify before I get the user authenticated to access a certain content or a certain component. So let's say user creates an account, user logs in, we have the claims saved, and it has been assigned against that user. A certain component that you want to authenticate the user here on, you want to check if that user is above 18 years. So in this case, we need to use custom requirement, and that is what we're going to have a look today. If you haven't watched the previous video, then please do check the video description. I'll put it over there. When I'm done with this, I also combine the two videos so you can actually watch them if you haven't watched any of them. Before I jump right into Visual Studio to continue the project, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, and also hit on that bell to receive updates as soon as I upload new content. The source code of this project will also be available, so check the video description. Alright, so to go through what we did in the previous video, this is what we did. We created a basic implementation or basic authentication and policy-based authorization. So this is what we did. We implemented a custom quick authentication in here, and in that we had our service registered. So in the program from the server section, we created our service in here for quickie authentication. And that is what you can see from here. Aside from that, we created our policy, and this policy applies to all roles. So we have admin, manager, and our user policy. So anyone who is found within any of these roles can have access to all components which have been assigned a policy as this policy name. We did same to admin manager for only admin and manager, and there's an admin and user, and it's for only administrator and user. Any of these policies, as you can see from here, requires that the user must get authenticated. That is a requirement that we are actually assigning. And also here we are checking that the user must have one of these roles. So you can see we have an admin role, we have a user role. So the user must have one of these. And the same thing applies to this one, and the same thing applies to this one. Aside from that, we install packages to create a database connection, and as you can see, register it in here. We added a scaffolded item to create a component that is a CRAD component, which add employee. So we just created our class and we added the scaffolded component, and we had all our components created in here. So from the pages, we have employee pages, and we have all these CRAD components created. So admin can have access to any of these components. Manager can also have access to create, delete, edit, index. That is a view list. But for user can have access to only the detailed. And the detailed one, we want to fish out only that specific user data and then display it on the screen. So that's what we did. Okay. And also user can also have access to about us and our contact page. So we created a simple diagram for this. So you can see that here there's an admin. Admin can have access to all pages: list page, detail page, update page, and delete page. He can also have access to detail page, update page, contact page, and about us page. Manager can have access to only these 4 pages, and our user can also have access to these 4 pages. You can see that we have common pages here, and that is why we join them together, and now we create a single policy to handle them. And aside from that, we create the one which it is limited to the user and also the manager as well. Okay, so we are going to do this. Now the first thing to do here is we're going to add date of birth, because we're going to check if the user who wants to access that specific component is greater than 18 or greater or equal to 18 years. That is our requirement. So in order to do that, we have to first add this property to the identity user. You know, initially we did not create identity user. We did not create an extended class for that. We went straight ahead and I used the identity user. So when you go to the service, you can see from here that using this add identity call, we added the identity user straightforward. When you check the AppDB context class that we created from this data folder, AppDB context class, you can see that here we use this identity user straightforward. So this identity user does not contain a property that we can use to store date of birth. So we have to add it ourselves. And in order to do so, we must create a class which extends or which is going to inherit from this. So I'm going to make this as app user. Now this app user, I'll go to the solution, go to the data folder, I click on it. We're going to create a class and I name it as app user. Well, you can change the name of this class to any name at all that you like. So you can change it. So app user. Now this app user is going to extend the class of identity user. So aside from extend this class, we need just a property addition to what we have already. So we're going to add one property in here as date of birth. Okay, so we're going to add this. Now, once you have this class created and which is inheriting from this identity user, we go to the AppDB context. You can see it has been linked already. We go to the program.cs file and let's see. We have to also change this to app user. Then we need to include the namespace. It has been added already. Aside from that, we need to go to the login page and at the register page so we can use this in the sign in and at the user manager. So you can see from here we have this user manager, we have sign in manager. We are no more using identity user, we are using app user. So you make sure you replace them and include the namespace as well. We do same to the register page. And now here, user manager, let's use app user. Include the namespace as well. Okay, so this is done. Now we're going to build this project and see if everything is working as expected. If it works, then we're going to apply migration. So when you have a look in here, we have this user manager, app user. And now when you come here from the register endpoint, we need to include the date of birth. So we have date of birth. And we need to create a property in here. So when you go to this register model, that is found from the models folder. You see we have the sign up model. We need to include one property. And that is date of birth. So it's supposed to be date time, isn't it? So date time, and I will call this as date of birth. Okay. Now let's go to the register component, and then here we need to assign date of birth to registration dot date of birth. Okay, so this is what we need to do. And here we're not going to create an identity user. We're going to create an instance of app user because that is a new identity that we're using. Okay, so we have this and that is it. Now when it comes to the claims that we are creating, we need to actually add, because now we have date of birth, so we need to include that. Let's make a duplicate of this, and our claim types dot date of birth. We are now going there and I'll select date of birth from the model. Then we need to convert this to string. You can convert this to short string or long string, whatever. You can actually convert it, okay? So for now, let's maintain this, what we have. So we have these claims, and as soon as you create an account, these claims are going to be added against this specific user that we are creating it here. Okay. Let's build the project. So let's go in there and perform database migration. So let's go in there and I want to delete the old one. Now let's apply a new one. So let's update the database. Okay, so this is set. It is done now. The next thing that we're going to do here is to create our custom requirement. So let's create a folder. And let's name this folder as custom requirement. Now within this custom requirement, we're going to create our first class. So we're going to have a requirements class, we're going to have a handler. So requirement is going to take in the property or parameter that we're going to specify as yes. Then we're going to implement it in the handler. Okay, so let's have a minimum age. So there's a minimum age custom requirement, right? So you can make it in any name that you want. So you're making it as minimum age requirement. Now this minimum age requirement, what you do here is we can create a constructor, but with the help of CSR version 12, let's use your year. So we're going to specify in the year that we want. Okay, so 18, that's the year that we're going to specify. So let's pass in the year here, and we're going to inherit from authorization requirement. So we need to include the namespace for this, and that is all. So this is all that we need to do. So when you call this method, we need to specify the years. Okay, let's save this. So now we have our requirements. We need to create our handler. So we can create the same handler here. Let's add a class, and this is minimum age handler. Now this minimum age handler, we want to inherit from this. We pass in the class that we created as a requirement, and now it's an abstract, so we need to implement an interface in here. That's a handle requirement async. We have the context and we have the class that we created as a requirement. Okay, now the motive here is you want to check if the user is not authenticated, we want to return. So let's first check if the user is not authenticated, place the return. In case the user is, or in case we do not have the claim type as date of birth in the person's claim stored, then also return. So that's why we're checking if the claim type is not found. If it doesn't have this, then return. But in case it has it, then what are we going to do? We're going to get the date of birth. We're going to extract it from that claim. Then we're going to pass it to date to change to the datetime format, because you know the claim here is a string type. So we're going to pass the datetime to form an object of datetime. Then we're going to check. We're going to divide it by 360. So you can say this is a year, right? So we get this in the number. We want to get the years. We get a number of days in here. So you can see from here that here we get the datetime.now. We're going to subtract the new date, the date of the birth from the person. We're going to subtract from the today's date. Then when you have the number of days, you're going to divide it by 360, because you want to get it in the total days. The total days divided by 360 will give you the years. We're checking if the year is greater than or equal to 18. Then we want to return succeed. In case it is not, we want to return completed. Okay, so if it is not, then it's going to return this won't run at all. And in this case, the user won't be authorized. But soon as this runs, it means the user is now authorized. And at the end, we want to return. So this is what you want to do. We have our requirement created, set and done. What you need to do here is to register this requirement. So where can we register this requirement? I believe you're saying that definitely we have to register this in the program.cs file. Is that so? Yes, that is it. So let's go to that program.cs file and I'll do the registration. So that's the program.cs, and now down here, maybe we can do our registration. So we're going to register the handler that we create a minimum age handler. We're going to register it in here. Okay, so now that we are done, we want to set this against the user. So if any user wants to access the system, the user must first get authenticated. Second, the user must have a role, either admin or user role. The third one here is we want to specify the requirement. So in the user's claim stored, which will be retrieved, we want to check if the age is greater than or equal to 18. If it is not, return unauthorized. But in case it is, then return through or success and or succeeded and etc. Now keep moving. Okay, so there's a requirement that we are adding to this, and this is limited to only this admin user policy. So any component that you use this policy, if the person is going to be authenticated, it's going to be checked if it has the age greater than 18. If not, it won't be applied, but unless it is greater or equal to 18. So in order for us to check whether the rule or the policy has been satisfied, or the user claim has satisfied the policy, we can go to the home component. So component in here, pages, home, and now in here, I want us to replace this. So we can check, you can put a breakpoint, and I'll check it up in here. So let's put breakpoint here. And before we do that, we also have to inject authorization service. Let's inject this. And this is coming from control period Microsoft.ASP.NET Netcode-Authorization. So this is where it's coming from. Okay, this is set and done. Now what we're going to do here is, let's go to SQL Server Object Explorer. We're going to refresh this folder to get a new database. You're going to open it, open tables. Then we're going to wait for it to get reloaded and check our ASP.NET users. So in here, let's open this. And our ASP.NET claims, let's open this as well. Okay, so currently empty. Now let's run this application. We're first going to create user in here. We specify the date of birth, but before we do that, we have to add a form to this. We did not add a form. So when you go to register, we have the property set, but we did not update the form. Alright, so this point is hit. We can click on continue. Now this page will run, but we're not going to see, the register form, but we don't have any place to add date of birth. So we need to update this as soon as possible. So let's go to our component, the same register component, and we're going to update that. So sign up. So register page, that is this one. And aside from specifying the row, we can actually put it here. So email, date of birth, then row. So we can add this in here. So you have an input date, and we have the date bound to this model property, and that is it. So let's save this, and let's see if we're going to reload and have the date section in here. If not, then we're going to manually reload it. Yes, we have it. So let's start creating this. We need an admin at admin. Let's choose the date. So maybe it is going to be 5/3/1978. So that this person will be over 18 years. This is admin. And the password, you're going to have admin at 123. Now let's create the account for the admin. Created. Let's create one for manager. Let's choose the date. So this is manager. Let's click on create account to create manager. Now you're going to create user, and now with the year we're going to make it 03/03/2020. So 2020, this person will be less than 18, right? For testing purpose. And now here we're going to say user. So click on create to create this user account. So when you go to the table, and now when we check, you see we're going to have these 3 users created to this table, and that is what we have in here. When you go to ESPnet users, you're going to have 3 users with separate or different claims. So if you check here, we have the claim types, the name, email, and row. Name, email, and we have date of birth as well. So you see name, email, row, and date of birth. Now you can see from here, that is 2020, this is 1999, and that is 1978. So you can see these are the various date of birth. Okay, so we're going to extract this and I convert it in our handler, and I'm going to check it into an integer. Then we can now make the check, and that's what we've done. So in order to do this, we're going to apply. You go to a program. We're going to apply this requirement. Okay, so you've applied it already, and that is it. Yeah, I never forgot it. Okay, so now that we have this, we're going to let's log in. So if I log in as admin, log into this, we go to the endpoint, and now here you can see that user is authenticated, and now when we check, we have everything set. If you want to check against this admin user policy, you can see from here that succeeded, right? So here admin is greater than 18, and if admin is greater than 18, it means admin can see everything. So you can see admin can create a list, detailed. Okay, so this page we haven't created that, and about us, and contact us, so admin can see this. Okay, so maybe we can add list in here. Let me just, so date of birth has been added already, right? So maybe we can still add a date of birth. Since we're creating an employee, there's going to be another one. So let's add admin. We can also add user. So this is manager. So 0205/9. Create this. Let's add user as well. So user and 02/02/2020. Create this. Okay. So when you go to my detailed, then we can view the user detail. Okay, now let's log out. That is an admin, he can see everything. So we need to log out, and okay, so let's see account/logout. So let's figure this out. We go to our source code, and in here, let's say from the endpoint that we created. Okay, so here you should change this to app user instead of event user, because we've created a new. Now let's run this again and check it out. Okay, so breakpoint hit, continue on, and let's see. Yeah, now let's log in as admin. So success, we're going to click on continue again. And we are in. So let's click on logout. Yeah, so we are logged out. Now let's log in as manager and see this. Now let's check in here. Now when you check this, you can see that it failed. The reason is, you can see the reason is over here. So let's see the count. And now the row here is saying that this row should be admin or user. The manager is not found in here. So this current user does not belong to any of these rows. And that is the reason why we have the field. Okay, so click on OK. And in here, we have only the list, which is for the manager can have access to. Let's log out. And now we are much focused or interested in the user. Let's log in. And now check it out. Succeeded is false. Let's find the reason why. When you check the failure reason, it tells you that minimum age requirement. It means the user could not satisfy the minimum age requirement, which is 18. And it tells you that the user here, it is lesser than 18 years. So in this case, our custom requirement is working. So you can see that since the user is lesser than 18, the user cannot see any of the links in here, and that's the detailed page, contact us, and about us. He can only see this logout. You see this? Now let's go to this table, and I'll make some amendment to the list, and that is a claim in here. Now for this claim, the user here is what? 2020. So in case we change this to maybe 2000, the user is now 2000. Let's save this. Maybe let's refresh this. Yes, 2000. Now when you go back to this page, and now let's log out. Let's log in and check it out. So it succeeded, isn't it? Now click on continue. Now the user can see my detailed, about us, contact us. So you can see that here, if the user's age does not exceed or equal to the required age specified in the policy, the features that you applied or the component that you apply this policy on is going to be hidden from the user. But in case it fits or is equal to or greater than, then you can see, the user can see everything that is supposed to see. So that is it. That's a way to implement policy-based authorization with custom requirements. Yes, so I believe you've learned something today as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to catch you up in the next video. Till then, take care.